Good morning, and a very, very warm welcome to our results presentation. Looking out, then, I think we've got more viewers here today than the whole of BBC4 gets in a week, so thanks for coming. In the space of 2.5 years, we've more than doubled the operating profit from just over 200 million to 460 million. And we've done that really by increasing revenues, improving our operational efficiency, and reducing the high costs of regulation. And the growth in our revenue streams have been in new high-margin areas. Turnover outside ITV1 has risen by about £200 million and grew by 25% last year. The non-ITV1 advertising revenues are now 33% of the total turnover. We've also disposed of businesses realising some £281 million and excess properties realising approximately £34 million more. And we're driving the value of our other assets before disposal. Changes in Australian media ownership rules could add real value to our 7 network stake. And Screen Vision is benefiting from the digitisation of the US cinema advertising market. The disposal of MUTV and stakes in Arsenal and Liverpool is dependent upon the arrival of an eager buyer. James writes here, but if you know anyone, I'll give you my phone number and they'll be able to come through to me. Core assets remain ITN, SMG, TV3 and Carlton Screen Advertising. The key message here is that we believe we're delivering our digital future today and delivering the best content for that digital future. Our own content underpins the whole business model, from programmes on screen to new media revenue streams. And the internal content will retain all the rights for further exploitation. We're strengthening our channel brands, and today we're increasing our target for channels advertising and interactive revenue to £250 million by the end of 2008. We're setting ourselves a target to achieve 50% of revenues outside ITV1 now by the end of 2010. And really we're increasing our new revenue streams by converting viewers into customers. On distribution platforms, we're promoting Freeview, as a Freeview viewer is quite simply an ITV viewer, as we'll see later. I'd now like to introduce my new improved, old shiny new Finance Director, John Crespo, who'll present the financial review, and I'll come back with a strategic review later.
Thank you, Charles, and good morning, everyone. Henry Staunton, my predecessor, told me this morning that he hadn't been looking forward to a results presentation so much for 13 years. Henry Staunton's a very relaxed man sitting down here in front of me. So, to the results. Turnover in 2005 was up 6% at £2.18 billion. Operating profit was up 42% at £460 million. And after interest of £35 million, profit before tax was up 36% at £453 million. Basic adjusted earnings per share was up 25% at 8 pence. And the final dividend is up 38% at 1.8 pence, making 3.12 pence for the full year. This slide analyses the revenue in the broadcasting division. Advertising revenue from ITV1 was £50 million lower at £1.46 billion. The revenue from our digital channels was up £53 million, a rise of 91%. And in 2005, there's a full year contribution of £58 million from GMTV. Sponsorship revenue is also up 11% at £41 million. Media sales and other income was up 20% at £137 million, and that includes the first-time contribution of £16 million from SDN. And overall, our broadcast turnover is up 5% year on year. This slide looks at the year-on-year performance of advertising revenue by category, showing 2005 in green and 2004 in blue. Our top three categories were all positive in both years. Retail, our largest category, was up 3% in 2005, continuing to show good growth. Food was up in 2004 and has grown very strongly in 2005, up 13%, with many of our biggest food advertisers continuing to spend significantly on their healthy eating products. Finance was up strongly in 2004 with the European Football Championships, and that was level in 2005. But we expect finance, along with cars and alcoholic drinks, to perform well this year around the World Cup football in June and July. And in the first 4 months of 2006, it's again the big categories which are performing strongly, with both retail and finance up, and food at the same as last year. This slide explains the movement in overall share of adult commercial impacts in all homes in 2005. ITV1 lost share for a number of reasons. It lost 0.52% because digital channels have more minutes of advertising, 9 minutes per hour versus 7 minutes. 1.19% because of the very rapid move from analog to digital TV. Digital penetration has increased from 59.5% to over 70% at the end of 2005. We lost 0.64% because the BBC are losing share from their channels as well to the digital universe, and 0.82% due to the performance of ITV1 on the platforms, which inevitably includes some share loss to our new channels. That adds up to a loss of 3.17 percentage points in all homes. Our digital channels grew strongly by 2.33 percentage points, so that the overall loss in all homes was only 0.84 percentage points across the year. Our share of ITV1's total scheduled costs at £901 million is down 4% on last year, with the movements largely being lower sports costs, with the Premier League highlights and Euro 2004 costs falling out. These are offset by additional investment in new programme commissions. You will see that during the year we've reduced our total regional programme cost by £17 million, partly a result of a reduction in regional non-used quotas, but more the streamlining and digitisation of our regional operations following the merger. The programme costs for our digital channels moved in line with revenue, maintaining their high margin in the period, and we will continue to invest in this area to reinforce the significant ratings growth. Total revenues for ITV production are £679 million, up by 7% on continuing operations. As well as increasing supply for ITV1, we've also seen significant growth in other areas, including UK production for other broadcasters, which is up by 30%, and our international production turnover up by 8%. The small reduction in our distribution and exploitation revenue is because the supply of programming to the GSB channels has become an internal sale this year, and the £9 million is within the £432 million of supply to ITV. And external sales in aggregate were up 6% even after the £9 million reclassified as internal sales this year. This slide shows the net debt movement for the period. EBITDA was £494 million. We have working capital movements which were £10 million negative. Cash generated from operations was £456 million, which gives us a very high cash conversion ratio of 98% on our operating EBITDA. The defined benefit pension deficit funding was £118 million in the year. Taxation, interest and dividend receipts were £140 million in aggregate. Capital expenditure, less proceeds from the sale of fixed assets, was £17 million. The purchase of businesses at £260 million were SDN, Friends Reunited and the additional stake in Arsenal. After movements including business disposals, the redemption of the preference shares, some translation differences and fair value movements, and the equity dividends, the movement in net debt was a decrease of £154 million, giving closing net debt of £481 million. In 2005, the advertising growth in the first quarter was strong both for total TV NAR and for ITV. and a combination of factors influenced this, including an early Easter and the displacement effect of revenue in 2004 into the summer football. So ITV1's 9 that period was some 12% higher than the 2005 full-year outturn. In 2006, the trend reverses, with Easter later in April and the World Cup starting in June, and so we would expect to see a pattern more like 2004. Now, as a result of these factors, Q1 trading is no real surprise. Over the first quarter of 2006, we expect to see ITV1 NAR down by 12%, and overall ITV PLC NAR down about 10%, compared to the whole TV market being down about 6%. But encouragingly, April is up 2% for our ITV1 revenue and up 6% for ITV PLC year on year. The licence fees paid for the full year are £75 million, including £7 million in respect of GMTV. The graph in front of you shows how licence fees have reduced over the last 3 years, with the outcome of the renewals in 2005 and the expected reduction to £4 million per annum as digital penetration increases towards 100%. Digital penetration is shown by the red line with 100% on the baseline of the graph. Details of the new licence terms which have been set are set out in the appendices. The licence fee reduction was calculated on the value of the analogue licences, which have been reducing in value rapidly as digital penetration increases. The value of the licence at switchover has been estimated at around £25 million a year. But there are still many other regulatory changes needed in order to level the playing field with other commercial broadcasters and the BBC. The BBC Charter and the new licence fee will have an important effect on the whole TV market, and it's important they do not receive an overly generous settlement. This also has relevance to the way in which PSB is funded in the future. Now, whilst Europe works on changes to the Television Without Frontiers Directive, permitting greater use of product placement, Ofcom is already consulting on the possible relaxation of the UK product placement rules in order to be ready as soon as the changes are agreed at the European level. CRR and station average price mechanism will be a focus for the management over the coming months in 2006. And we will lobby for the use of additional preview capacity at digital switchover, and we're now working on the allocation of media rights between producer and broadcaster, and we are seeking independent status for ITV productions when selling to other broadcasters in the UK. Pensions. We've made good progress on our pension schemes in 2005. We've merged all 6 of our defined benefit schemes into one, which should save around £2 million a year from 2007 in administration costs for the scheme, and obviously improve the focus on managing the scheme with one set of trustees. The disclosed IAS 19 deficit on our defined benefit pension schemes at 31st December 2004 was £672 million pre-tax. During 2005, all UK defined benefit schemes saw their liabilities rise as long-term real interest rates in the UK continue to fall. This is undoubtedly the major theme for all pension funds at the moment. For ITV, the rise in liabilities was actually exceeded by an excellent investment return on assets, and the net result was a reduction in the deficit by £22 million during the year. And in September, we announced that we would contribute £325 million into the pension fund, and we did so in 2 tranches. We paid £118 million at the end of last year, and we've paid a further £207 million at the beginning of this year. This means the pro forma year-end IAS 19 deficit after that final tranche was £325 million, or £228 million net after a deferred tax asset of £97 million. So the chairman of the trustees just trying to get through probably. Based upon projected investment returns on pension scheme assets over time, we expect the scheme to move towards a fully funded position. The next slide highlights my priorities for the next few months. Firstly is to create investment capacity. Do that by 2 ways: by disposing of our non-core assets when the time is right, and ensuring we have a consistent investment appraisal process across the business. Second priority is to refinance the debt maturities due in 2007 and to look to extend the maturity profile of that debt at the same time. As ever, we'll continue to focus on operational excellence and cost control, taking a bottom-up approach to the cost base to ensure that the resources and our management time are directed to generating our maximum returns. And the restructure in the autumn allows the integrated finance team to look more closely at the operational issues to help us create the investment capacity. We continually review our balance sheet, and 12 months ago we explained our priorities. They were to finalise the financial terms of our licences, which we have done with a very positive outcome for shareholders, to address the pension scheme deficit, which we have done, again, in a very positive fashion. And finally, we looked at some bolt-on acquisitions, and Charles will talk more about SDN and Friends Reunited shortly. So we now have the headroom to start cash returns, and following discussions with the pensions regulator, we will make an initial 300 million return to our shareholders through buybacks over the next few months. We will continue to review further cash returns, having regard to the implications to our pension scheme funding and prevailing market conditions, and maintaining our solid investment grade rating. And it's our current expectation that we'll only look at bolt-on acquisitions, A, where we can add value from our core competencies, and B, where they can be funded from our ongoing cash flow. That concludes my financial review, and I'd now like to hand you back to Charles for the operating review.
Thanks, John. As I said at the beginning, I believe we're delivering a digital future today. In just 2 years, we've moved from an analogue, single-channel federation to a multi-platform, multi-channel, content-driven digital business that's firmly focused on the needs of viewers and advertisers. And now, in that digital world, we'll be delivering further growth with improved content, strengthening our channel brands, exploiting content externally, delivering new revenue streams, and building distribution. At the heart, at the centre of our ITV 2010 plan is we plan to have more viewers and consumers of ITV in 2010 than we do in 2005. Simplifying our structure is a key part of that process. And to do that, we've created a united management team with a single purpose, a focus on the best content, absolutely commissioned for profitability, with good communications between the functions and the team, with revised revenue targets. We'll build our businesses, our consumer businesses, based on commissioning with the aim of converting viewers to consumers, and paying for our content in different ways will generate 50% of our revenues outside ITV1 now. Quite simply, this places content at the heart of ITV, and that allows us to maximise both traditional revenues and new revenue streams. This slide shows how we will achieve growth in the digital world. Our key, and I think defining asset, is content. That enables us to drive revenue through strengthening and growing our channel brands, exploiting content through external sales to other broadcasters and through media exploitation, and creating brand new revenue streams. And all of them operating through a number of distribution platforms and direct consumer propositions. ITV is a producer broadcaster, and content has increasing value as technology changes platforms. Whilst ITV1 needs the best content available, our digital channels need value content, and therefore we need both internal and externally acquired material. ITV Productions is the most efficient deliverer of impacts for ITV1. In 2005, yielding 55% of the impacts for 45% of the total network programme budget. Internal productions also gives us very low-cost sources of repeat material for our new channels, because we retain all of the exploitation rights. We can sell the programmes and formats internationally to other platforms and other media. And that means our library is a store of value in the digital world. What we look for from independent commissions and acquired material is the best commissioned content for ITV1, that's Simon's job, to get the best content from everyone, and acquisitions principally for ITV1 off-peak and our digital channels. And the good news is here we've got film deals out to 2009 with major studios for blockbuster films and library material for our digital channels. But the key thing to note is when we buy acquired programmes, we only buy limited rights with no secondary exploitation. And very often it's the sheer power of ITV that helps deliver audiences to those programmes that we've commissioned externally. And that creates value for their owners. Here we look at the performance of our top programmes in DTT in blue and DSAT in orange. I think this chart just makes a very simple point that good content has value across all platforms, with our top programmes, especially event television, rating very much the same on DTT and DSAT and quite close to the all platform figure in green. Good content, I suppose you could say, is platform agnostic. Interestingly, you look at those figures, X Factor and Takeaway actually rate better on DSAT than on DTT. Having the best content in turn strengthens our channel brands. During the year we've undertaken a major rebranding exercise of our channels, not just refreshing the on-screen presence, but building a detailed audience segmentation model to enable us to do two things: to have a deeper relationship with advertisers and a common language with our viewers. It aims to differentiate the channels pretty clearly and promote more viewing by reinforcing the bond with existing viewers and connecting us with new audiences. We've also moved to strengthen the creative team, who are now responsible for commissioning across all platforms. And they're focused on getting better value out of the network programme budget. The restructure is now complete, and we've added a central resource and 4 new senior commissioners to help us achieve that objective. Laura Mackey from the BBC and Drama, Paul Jackson, who worked for the BBC and in our international production operation, comes to run entertainment and comedy. And with an increased focus on acquisitions, Jake Ndola joins us from 5, and at 4, she was responsible for many of the hits like Lost and Desperate Housewives. Alison Sharman joins us from the BBC to run Factual and in daytime. And in addition to them, 8 commissioners from the BBC, Channel 4, ABC and Independents have been recruited to further strengthen that team. Simon Shacks's brief was to build the best channels team in Europe, and he's done that, I think, by bringing together the most successful and creative group of people that have been responsible for some of the biggest hits on British television. We'll be driving ITV's mass market share. With an average, on average, ITV1 reaches 80% of the UK population. And the plan is pretty simple. Build the bank of shows, create new returning hits, and I'm delighted to say we've had 5 already this year, more than the whole of 2005, and they've all been recommissioned for 2007. And the third point is to develop event television. We're finding that incredibly successful with Soapstar Superstar and Dancing on Ice, getting over half the population watching television or watching Dancing on Ice on Saturday night. The other major thing is we've absolutely aligned the objectives of the broadcaster and the producers by linking their personal incentives to performance on screen. We continue to drive ratings on our digital channels. ITV2 is now the biggest digital channel and has substantially increased its target audience of 16 to 34-year-olds in 2005, with 2.8% of adult impacts in all homes, and on occasion, I'm delighted to say, in 2005, ITV2 beat Channel 5's audience. One of the recent successes is the US acquisition Supernatural, with audiences of over 1 million. That's 31% more than Sky One's 24, and a 6% share of that very valuable 16 to 34-year-old audience. ITV3 targets ABC1s. In 2005, the commercial impact share was 1.4%, and because it uses ITV library material, the ongoing margin, the operating margin, is very high for a new channel. In fact, ITV3 was profitable from day one. ITV4 targets 25 to 44-year-old men. It launched on the 1st of November 2005 and was the most successful channel launch of any new digital channel. It uses a higher proportion of US acquired material and is currently ranked the 10th digital channel in multi-channel homes. In 2006, we're launching 3 more channels. CITV is aimed at preschool and 4 to 9-year-olds with different segments broadcast across the day. It launches on DTT this Saturday, and we've got acquisitions as well as repeats from ITV1, where we spend £30 million a year to meet our PSB requirements. And those of you who've got young children know that it's the one audience that absolutely love repeats, so that's really good for the business model. We also have merchandising opportunities with our own material like Pocoyo. ITV Play launches on DTT on the 19th of April, and ITV Broadband launches in the autumn, and I want to go through those in a bit more detail later. This slide shows the viewing share on each of the platforms for ITV1 in blue in 2004, green in 2005, and you can see the movement of the small movement in 2 years on DTT and DSAT, and almost unchanged on terrestrial analogue. The yellow bars show the 2005 viewing share of the ITV family of channels and demonstrate that ITV2 and ITV3 have gained viewing share principally from other channels. This chart shows the continued strong growth of ITV2 and ITV3 in multi-channel homes in 2005, with ITV2 beating Sky One. ITV channels attracted, I think, an amazing 40% of the total multi-channel impact volume, and as we've driven prices, that's driven to no less than 53% of total multi-channel revenue growth. 3 channels versus 400. This final slide in this section shows the commercial impacts in multi-channel homes. A small loss in ITV1 in blue, with the green bar showing a big gain for ITV's family of channels, a net gain of 1.4 percentage points. As you can see, many others are losing share, with Channel 4 beginning to benefit from their move of their channels from pay channels to DTT. The second element in the continual drive to exploit content through external sales is the key point is that none of this revenue would be possible without owning the content creation and the programme rights. Original programming for other broadcasters has grown significantly during the year. UK production is up 30% to 65 million, with sales to most UK broadcasters, including the award-winning Six Traffic for Channel 4. International production is up 8% to 56 million. And in America, we delivered series to Fox, to NBC, to VH1, A&E and MTV, including a number of our UK created formats. In Australia, we delivered programmes to Channel 7 and Channel 10, and Dancing with Stars was the #1 rated show in Australia, and our German production business continues to grow. ITV Worldwide covers our secondary distribution business, with distribution to other broadcasters and our ventures business. We sold 40,000 hours of television in 2005. The American success of Nanny 911 helped it to sell to 60 territories, and with the format sold for new production in addition to that to 9 territories. We also now sell programmes for about 100 independent producers. Rada Ventures increased both revenue and profit with some strong DVD sales boosted based on football and on some drama series. And licensing deals, both on Pocoyo and Little Britain, have added to that result. Now I'd like to look at how we're attracting new revenue streams for the business. Firstly, ITV Play, which is a participation TV format. I'm really excited about this opportunity. I think it's a big opportunity for ITV. We started to trial this in late December, with shows going out on ITV1 at 1 o'clock in the morning. And you may say, what is it? It's a simple quiz format when people phone in with a chance to win prizes. And in January alone, we netted profits of £2 million from ITV Play, and that's without any of the power of cross-promotion. ITV Play is a very significant profit opportunity for us. ITV is key is that we're a trusted and respected brand, and our customers know that ITV Play will be fair play. What are we going to do? We're rolling a new full-time channel on DTT on the 19th of April, and broadcasting from midnight, i.e. an hour earlier, on ITV1, as well as maintaining windows on other channels. And platforms will include mobile and broadband versions. The programming will be good quality and entertaining. And we've commissioned some new material internally using our most famous brand, Coronation Street, in a pub quiz format. And here's a very short tape of ITV Play programming.
Coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out. It's there.
Are you feeling lucky?
You've won a chance to play the jackpot game. This is it, guys. Let's do this thing.
Good luck to you. Go for it.
This is Play Sudoku. Stand by to win.
Game on. We're going to give you £1,000 now for this answer.
What number do you think's left?
Pick away. 93.
My heart's really beating. You! Stop! You just won yourself £500!
You're a winner!
You did it. You're a jackpot winner live on Quizmania.
That's brilliant. Mate, we are absolutely chuffed for you. You won £500!
Congratulations.
Brilliant!
There's absolutely no truth in the rumour that Mike Hilton is going to become an ITV Play presenter. I think he's going to make his fortune elsewhere. But seriously, we think this could be really, really valuable. And we're anticipating making £20 million profit in the first full year of this operation. This slide shows why the internet is an area we just simply have to be involved with. Whilst radio advertising, the orange line is pretty static, and the outdoor line in green is moving slowly, internet advertising is growing fast. Overall, it's passing £1 billion, and the display element alone, the red dotted line, is now worth over £400 million. Broadband is a major platform, with penetration now at 10 million, almost 40% of homes, and this is a market we must address. What we really wanted to do here was create a business with immediate scale, with a profitable internet model, as well as the ability to deliver services to our existing sites. And Friends Reunited has given us that scale and profit, as well as revenue and cost synergies with our existing businesses. Friends, I think, is a unique opportunity for us. We just simply wouldn't have been able to build the scale without it, building that scale organically. Friends is already supplying white label versions of their dating and job sites to ITV.com and ITV Local. And we're working on using their IT systems to exploit uploading of our classified ads to ITV Local. We've got a host of programme ideas, and we're really benefiting from their management expertise. And the combination of ITV and Friends sites is driving increased volumes, increased traffic. ITV input into Friends is we're selling their advertising, we're offering programme sponsorship opportunities, cross-promotion, and the key thing is driving traffic. Advertising sales alone will save nearly £500,000 a year in commissions, and we believe our team will deliver an additional £2 million of revenue. Friends, like ITV, is a trusted brand and the market leader in both genealogy and reunion. It's the third site in dating, and that's already up from fourth in December. TV opportunities to drive site traffic. For example, in January we sponsored Star Superstar. And the chart shows both the unique users and page impressions and how they responded, both up 70% in January. But let's be clear, the important results are revenue and profit. And this slide just shows how these two measures compare with 2004, 2005 and 2006. Revenue shot up this year as a result of the increased traffic by 75%, and EBITDA was up 50% at £750,000 in the month, equivalent to a run rate of £9 million a year. ITV is the only commercial broadcaster with extensive content assets. As I mentioned earlier, we plan to launch our own broadband portal later in the year to exploit that position, and will deliver video on demand, including streaming television. We've started the process of digitising our library this year, and we're running trials of streaming television, including the Champions League later in the autumn. The power of owning our own content will make it possible for us to offer a range of services to the consumer, including channel simulcasts available online, catch-up channels and previews of shows not seen on the main channel, the ability to access material from the library archive and create your own personalised channel, ITV Local, Friends and specifically programme sites. The trial of ITV Local is continuing, and we're refining the nature of the services we offer. Alongside streaming local news and weather, the Fringe version of dating and jobs are now in place, a version of ITV Chat, which is developed again using the Friends community infrastructure, and we're looking at a listings operation based around travel, restaurant and other local services. As you can see from the numbers on the slide, programme sites are continuing to receive high levels of traffic, and we'll be working on monetising these when we can offer streamed video options for our customers. Which brings us to distribution. This slide is about Freeview growth. 3/4 of the people moving to digital, that's the purple bars, are buying Freeview. There's a bit of a blip on Q2 in 2005, and that's when Ofcom changed their methodology. It wasn't a change in any of the sales. Green bars are the Sky figures, and in this quarter it's estimated they'll add 75,000 subscribers. By mid-February we estimate that 500,000 Freeview boxes were sold, a ratio of not 3:1 but double that of 6:1. And the key message is that a Freeview viewer is an ITV viewer. This slide shows the all-time viewing shares of the last 4 years in analogue and DTT homes. Almost unchanged in ITV1 and analogue at around 27%. Around 25% for the family channels in DTT, and receiving a boost from ITV3 in 2005, lifting that to 26%. That's quite simply why we're keen to drive Freeview over any other platform. And because we rate well on DTT, we wanted to acquire long-term capacity of DTT, no matter what happens to the ITV licenses. Acquiring SDN achieves that, with ITV now operating some 38% of DTT commercial capacity. SDN, as you're aware, operates 10 video streams on Multiplex A, which are currently leased to other channels. We believe that 5 will vacate the multiplex in 2008, which will start the process of freeing up space. Those video streams have increased in value, as the chart shows, and currently SDN receives an average of 2.5 million for each one, compared to an open market price of around 12 million. And applying that sort of value makes our 136 million investment an extremely attractive and profitable one. We're now a 20% shareholder in Freeview, equal shareholder in Freeview. And the aim of that group is the marketing and success of Freeview. And that's coming through. 10 million boxes have now been sold, and we predict that DTT homes will pass UK-based satellite homes later in the year. Another aim of the group is to set standards for boxes. Boxes with an EPG, others with built-in PVRs, and in due course, when spectrum permits, HDTV. Touching on PVRs, there's been a lot of talk about it, and usually based on limited hard data for the assertions made. As you know, Barb is only now beginning to report on PVR usage, and while the initial data points very strongly to the fears really have been severely exaggerated, the data is too limited to be statistically accurate. But what it is showing is that less than 20% of the viewing is from the PVR. And the types of programming watched will favour mass market channels with high rating event and live event television, just like ITV, who will benefit from that. Mobile distribution is developing, and the ITV portal is available on 3G phones. There will be some DAB capacity coming on stream, but DVB-H we don't believe will be available until digital switchover. Which brings me to convergence, much heralded and finally approaching reality. We believe the process will actually lead towards commoditisation. We think people will pay for the content, but not for the pipe. And the result of the increasing number of LLU competitors will benefit the consumer. However, content creators and unbundlers of content will also benefit by being able to offer direct access to the consumers. We aim to drive the VOD opportunity for our content, and as I said earlier, digitising part of the library is the first step in that process. I'd like to finish with a very brief summary. 2005 was a record year with turnover up 6%. Operating profits up 42% to 460 million. Cash generated from operations up 42% to 456 million. And I think that just demonstrates how cash generative the business actually is. EPS up 25%, final dividend up 38%, and 300 million to return to shareholders. Looking forward at our strategy, we've simplified our management structure to improve focus on the core business. In content, there's increasing value as technology changes platforms. And we're the only commercial broadcaster with a significant production opportunity and library business. This is a source of enormous value in the digital world, and we'll exploit that content initially through our own channels, externally to other broadcasters, and through those new consumer businesses I discussed earlier. Ian and his team in commercial are developing direct relationships with the advertisers and growing non-sport revenues. In channels, we'll deliver improved performance with ITV1 network programme budget being exploited harder, and we've built a new creative team in commissioning to achieve this. We will deliver our 2007 multi-channel revenue target a year early in 2006, and are increasing the target to £250 million of advertising and interactive revenue by the end of 2008. ITV2 and 3 are the top 5 in the top 5 channels in multi-channel homes, and we launched ITV4, and as I said, CITV launches this week. We're building new revenue streams with ITV Play, which I think, as I said earlier, is a very significant opportunity for us. Building ITV.com into a broadband channel later in the year, and developing both our ITV and our Fred's Reunited businesses. Overall, we're targeting 50% of our revenues coming from outside ITV1 now by 2010. And in SDN, we have a very valuable DTT distribution business for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening, and we'll be very happy to take your questions.